Well, the country is plunged into heightened rolling blackouts. There are concerns the power cuts may have an impact on the rise of acts of criminality. Electricity Minister Kgosientsho Ramokgopa says that the current heightened rolling blackouts expected to be addressed by Wednesday. He was not able to indicate when rolling blackouts will end. He did, however, defend President Cyril Ramaphosa's statement during his State of the Nation address. The government was confident that the end of rolling blackouts was finally within reach. So to take this discussion further, we're going to be joined via video link by crime expert Dr. Guy Lamb to look at the impact of load shedding on crime. Dr. Guy, good afternoon. Thanks for your time here on the SABC at this hour.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
So with South Africa facing an ongoing energy crisis, some of the areas of the country extending endured power outages. I mean, what's been the impact, the reality of the ground of load shedding on crime in South Africa at large?
I mean, we can talk about it very kind of generally because we don't have any kind of robust studies about it yet.
Sure.
But what we do know at the moment is, we have theories about crime and criminal offending. So certainly with load shedding, especially at night, it affects street lighting. And we do know that street lighting is a very effective deterrence for street crime. Obviously, if criminals, if streets are kind of have good street lighting, criminals will often think twice before robbing people because there's often a chance that someone will intervene or the police may see them. So obviously, if their power is out and there's no street lighting, then individuals who are out in the open and public spaces are at risk of being robbed. And this especially in high crime areas. You're looking at informal settlements, you're looking at townships, but transport hubs, for example. But also those homeowners who have security systems, beyond the sort of burglar bars, for example. If you've got alarms, you've got CCTV cameras, those obviously are compromised during kind of extended periods of load shedding because batteries can only last for a few hours. So if you're going into 4 hours, those systems are compromised. Criminals have access to load shedding schedules and certainly can, make use of that and, break into houses a lot more easily than when those systems are functional. But then a third type of category is more what happens within the home around violent interpersonal crime, is that we do know that violence in the home, a lot of it's driven by sort of frustration and tension in homes. So with heightened levels of load shedding, where it impacts on family dynamics, on income generation, that kind of frustration can lead to gender-based violence. So men beating significant others, family members, their kind of intimate partners, can lead to child abuse. We don't have studies about that at the moment, but we do know that these kind of stresses can certainly elevate the risk of violent conflict in the home.
Well, thank you for setting that context. And so as we look at the types of crimes, the patterns observed, given the little data that has emerged, let's look at combating criminals' efficacy to date, how people have tried to increase some of their security measures, the costs associated. I mean, these have all had knock-on effects as well.
They do. I mean, it's not only for homeowners, but it's for business owners because you're wanting to protect your stock, you're wanting to protect your home. You've had to invest in additional layers. You've had to invest in layers of security. You've had to invest in like backup power sources and generators. And this is obviously in areas where I think especially businesses are hardest hit in areas which are affected by high levels of crime because you're kind of showing pictures here of bars and restaurants. I mean, the stock in bars is particularly a threat of risk. In high crime areas. But so it's around, business owners and homeowners are having to spend a lot more. But also we're seeing contexts around now emerging types of crime where, because solar, for example, is a sought after entity, you're having individuals who've installed solar as a backup system and their solar panels are being stolen.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when we look at the risks and recovery operations, what do you observe in that front, even in relation to insurance?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be able to comment on insurance, but in the world of insurance, what ultimately happens is premiums go up. If the risk goes up, the premiums go up. And also what happens with extended levels of load shedding is the risk of kind of criminality increases because the police can't patrol as effectively as they can when you've got street lighting or during the daytime. So you'll find in certain areas, I'm pretty sure business owners and homeowners will be experiencing increase in premiums because of the risk.
And then just as we wrap up, looking at ways to mitigate, looking at crime prevention strategies at large, I mean, what comes to mind as we speak, given the challenges?
I mean, it's around South Africans are pretty resilient and resourceful when it comes to these particular issues, but there's only so much that you can do. Then you tend to have to protect your property yourself. You have to be at home. You have to be on your business premises. You have to call on your neighbors. So it's around going kind of back to kind of pre-technological means of kind of protecting properties, of preventing crime, because they're quite limiting in the sense of what you can do if you don't have access to reliable power.